Hello, my name is Scott Davis, and welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for April 26th to May 2nd of 2015. And on April 26th, we have the sun, denoted here by the black circle with a dot in it. It's in Taurus, and it's in the 27th hexagram, and the chop mark for the 27 is on the outside of the wheel, numbered from bottom to top. The 27 goes yang, yin, 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 yang. And then the 27th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here is the 27th gate of caring, nourishment, the enhancement of the quality and substance of all activities through caring, excuse me, located in the sacral center in a tribal energy path in the defense circuit called the channel of preservation, a design of custodianship that connects to its harmonic, the 50th gate of values, the cauldron, the value of historical continuity, whose traditional values serve and enrich the present and the future. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we've got the following activated gates on April 26th. We've got the sun in the 27 with the earth in the 28. The north node is in the 48 with the south node in the 21. Mercury is in the 23rd gate with Venus in the 35th gate. Mars is in the 2nd gate. Jupiter is in the 33rd gate. Saturn is retrograde in the 34th gate. Uranus is in the 51st gate. Neptune is in the 37th gate. And Pluto is in the 54th gate. So obviously, not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. The neutrino forecast is really just a weather report, and no matter what the weather, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And as you can see, we have no channel definitions due to the transit field at the beginning of the week. We're going to be looking at the sun's ray-reaching line values daily because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ross said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day, when talking about these daily shifts of line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. If your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. April 26th begins with the sun in the 4th line, in the opportunist line of the 27 hexagram, which is generosity, the natural sharing of attained abundance, exalted, magnanimous, and qualitative sharing, the gift of rewarding those who are deserving, the power and strength to share generously, detriment and indiscriminate sharing, the potential loss of power and strength through indiscriminate sharing. And the 4th line day, the opportunist, this is about things like friendship, companionship, networking, and it's a good energy for social interaction. Later on the 26th, the sun then moves up into the 5th line, the hermit, the heretic line of the 27. This shift happens at 3:12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You want to convert that to your local time zone. The sun in the 5th line, heretic line of the 27, is the executor, the ability to distribute effectively the resources of others. Exalted, either the gifted and principled agent of distribution and the good sense and ability, or the good sense and ability to find one, the power and strength to care for the resources of others. Detrimented, a restrictive nature that hampers distribution or the seeking of advice and assistance. Weakness and the risk of loss of the power restricting caring. Fifth line days, the heretic. An important thing to understand about the heretic is it's about projection, and the projection is always positive, followed by negative. Positive being they could do it, they're the perfect person from it. And then if the person doesn't do it, doesn't want to do it, can't do it for whatever reason, they don't meet the expectation, then they get punished. This is why the fifth line has influence over those they don't know well, and if they're wise, they move on before they become well known. So this is a day of suspicion, but also universalization, where something can leak out and spread like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video or a Facebook post that goes viral. But there's also a great deal of suspicion and paranoia. And as I've said before, given the projection field, if they're actually out to get you, then it's not paranoia. This also impacts the nature of relationships. Seduction is also a theme of the fifth line day. And then also on the 26th, Venus moves from the 35th hexagram to the 45th hexagram, which then brings this definition defining the heart center and the throat center. Put Jupiter back here in the 33rd. And also we've got Mars leaving the second gate and joining Mercury in the 23rd hexagram. So let's start with Venus. In human design, Venus is very powerful, deeply misunderstood. According to Ra, it brings morality or values, natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you on a moral level. Your design and personality Venuses tell us about the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life, and that if you don't act with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in its retribution. In the 45th gate, Venus is in the gate of the gatherer, gathering together the natural and genetically beneficial attraction to like forces. Venus is in the first line of the 45, which is canvassing, exalted the ability to promote and develop gathering together through education of the uncommitted. The material direction lies in education, detriment, and overzealousness that turns canvassing into proselytization and tends to alienate rather than gather support. The drive for material that leads to aggressive education. And then also on the 26th, Mars moves again from the second hexagram into the 23rd hexagram, where it joins Mercury. Mars is in the gate of assimilation, splitting apart, amorality, the awareness and understanding that leads to acceptance of diversity. Mars is detrimented in the first line of the 23rd hexagram, which is proselytization, the attempt to undermine one set of values for another. Detrimented the missionary whose very light brings darkness, the powerful expression of an insight which will produce negative effects. Ross spoke about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. Mars represents the warrior archetype, and by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Mars from immaturity to wisdom. And with Venus in the 45th gate and the South Node in the 21st gate, we have the 2145 channel called the money line, which is tribal, so it's about resources and the support of family and those people that even if they're not blood, they're that are part of your tribe or extended family. This could condition folks to try to gain resources through their willpower, often without others to collaborate with. This will bring a focus on who are the haves and who are the have-nots on the material plane. This is a time period where people will believe that they can manifest what they want through their will, which completes on May 1st when Venus then moves into the 12th gate. So the folks who have not completed their will to materialism by that date will find that their efforts fall flat. With the defined ego center, people without a defined heart center may feel as if they have something to prove or make promises or commitments that are really not correct for them. And then on the 27th, the sun then moves into this sixth line, the role model line of the 27th hexagram at 2:19 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 27-6 is wariness, a protection against the abuse of generosity, exalted, a practical and realistic approach to nurturing, whose appropriateness is guided by feelings and instinct, the power and strength to be realistic in one's capacities to care and nurture, detriment, a tendency to over suspiciousness, the power of suspicion in limiting the expression of caring. 6 line days, we're on the roof of the hexagram. And if you think about being on the roof of your house or a building, we don't tend to look at the building we're standing on so much as what's going on in the neighborhood, what's going on around us. So Ra talked about not getting stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll end up with something banging into your shins or your kneecaps. It's a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around you because people are looking beyond their immediate environment. And like 3rd-line days, there can be certain dangers of not seeing a car coming or not seeing a bill coming. And then also on the 27th, Mercury moves out of the 23rd hexagram and into the 8, leaving Mars behind in the 23. And Mercury in mythology was the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication, expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music, according to Ra. So what do we need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 8? Well, I'd expect people to hear people say, I know I can, whether they can or not. This is the gate of contribution, holding together, the basic worth realized in contributing individual efforts to group goals. Mercury is detrimented in the 1st line of the 8th hexagram as honesty, the truthful acceptance of limitation, and the recognition that it can only be transcended through sharing, detriment and withdrawal, the fear of losing individuality in a group environment, the design to share creativity at the expense of individuality. On the 28th, the sun moves from the 27th hexagram, and it moves up into the 24 up here in the Ajna center. And the Earth moves from the 28 to the 44. The Earth is in the gate of alertness, coming to meet. The success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions. This shift happens at 1:27 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 24th gate of rationalizing, returning, the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal. The sun's exalted in the 1st line of the 24, the sin of omission, the transformation that requires retrogressive periods before renewal can take place, exalted the will to triumph, and in this case, the faith that the end justifies the means, inspiration that demands a reassessment of past thinking before a rational concept can be established. And so we're in a new hexagram. When the sun is in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd lines, it's in the lower trigram. These are days when people are looking more inward, more absorbed in their own process. The theme of a 1st line day is a fear or an anxiety that needs to be investigated in the line of the investigator. So it's a day to study, not to act. It's a day to look into things, not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or simply don't know. Excuse me. On the 29th, the sun then moves into the second line of the 24, so into the hermit line at 12:36 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so just 36 minutes after midnight Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 24-2 is described as recognition, exalted, the proper and spontaneous adaptation to new forms. The potential gift of conceptualizing spontaneously, detrimenting the vanity to see transformation as personal achievement rather than socially supported or natural phenomena. The mental vanity that the gift of conceptualizing spontaneously can produce. Second line days, everybody's waiting for something. They're waiting to be called. People are stuck in their own trip. It's not a great day to have a party because no one really wants to come. They'd rather stay home under the influence of the hermit. Later on the 29th, the sun then moves into the third line of the 24th hexagram, so up into the line of the martyr at 11:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So just 15 minutes before midnight. The sun in the 24-3 is the addict, the powerful attraction to regressive forms, exalted, the ultimate through the ultimate though difficult triumph over regression, the difficult but possible task of overcoming irrationality, detrimented, addiction, and regression legitimized by success, irrationality maintained and legitimized by success. So the third line, we're in the line of the martyr. So be careful on the roads because things bump into us under that third line influence. You might also be careful of things in your environment, whether it's a swinging door or somebody's elbows. It's a day where we might have bonds made and broken. Third line days are about a trial and error process, and things bump into us, as I said before. It's a good material day. It's a good day to do business and work on the material plane, but you have to be careful because things can go wrong. But ultimately, those things may lead to discovery. And then also on the 29th, Jupiter moves from the 23rd gate in hexagram to the 7th. In human design, Jupiter is generalized law, the electromagnetic central operating theater for the way in which the solar system operates. Living by the law can gain great good fortune. Activations in our human design chart tell us about the law that we must live by to benefit from the generosity that only comes from obedience to honoring your own law, your individual strategy and authority. Jupiter in the 7th gate of the self, the army, the point of convergence by design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. And Jupiter is in the first line of the authoritarian in the 7th gate. This is the iron hand, both enlightened and despotic, exalted, basic values and rules imposed upon a child, the capacity of the self to guide with authority, detrimenting the distorted intellect that believes only it knows best, the capacity of the self to insist that its authority is best. On the 30th, the sun then moves into the 4th line, the opportunist line of the 24th hexagram at 10:56 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it's described as the hermit. Excuse me, still fighting a cold here. This is transformation that can only take place in isolation, exalted, the discipline and focus that assures renewal, Aloneness enriches the potential through rational thought. Detriment of the tendency in isolation to live in a fantasy world. Aloneness encourages the potential for isolation, for potential of illusion and delusion. Fourth line days, we're changing out of the lower trigram of the personal process into the upper trigram of a transpersonal process. So moving from an inward perspective to an outward perspective with the themes of friendship, companionship, networking. Fourth line days are great for social interaction. People are more open to networking, to being friendly and social. And then on May 1st, the sun then moves into the fifth line, into the heretic line of the 24th hexagram at 10:07 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 24/5 is confession, the courage to admit mistakes of the past, exalted the practical value of starting with a clean slate, symbolized by the new moon, rational correction that opens the way to new possibilities. Detriment of the tendency to try to minimize past mistakes through rationalization, turning confession into justification, irrational justification of past mistakes. And fifth line days, like we talked about before, this is about projection, being projected on. So again, we are looking at the themes of seduction, universalization, suspicion, paranoia. But as I said before, the projection field may be that they are out to get you. Basically recognize that people project under the influence of the fifth line. Also on the first, we've got Mercury moving from the 8th hexagram in gate, and it moves into the 20, which brings us a new channel definition. Hopefully. And we also have Venus moving out of the 45, and it moves into the 12, which means that we no longer have the defined heart center, but we do have a defined sacral center in the transit field here. We talked about Mercury being about communication earlier in the report. So what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 20th gate? Well, I'd expect people to say, I am now, and you can fill in the blank. This is the gate of the now, contemplation, recognition, and awareness in the now transforms understanding into right action. And Mercury in the first line of the 20th gate is superficiality, a reliance on shallowness, exalted the rising of superficiality to an art form, the sloganeer, superficial expression as an art form, detrimented the superficial expression of the personality, the expression of the superficial personality. And then also on the first, with Venus moving from the 45 to the 12th hexagram, we talked about Venus earlier being about values and morality. So Venus is in the gate of caution, standstill, the quality of restraint, and the importance of mediation, and the importance of meditation and inaction in confronting temptation. Venus is exalted in the first line of the 12, which is the monk, withdrawal that can only be maintained with communal support, exalted the beauty and harmony possible beyond the reach of temptation, the expression of social withdrawal and its value when supported by others. And with Mercury in the 20 and Saturn in the 34, this brings us the channel of charisma until May 5th. And so the influence of this may be that people become busier in the now, where the things they think about become the experiences they're having. Expect folks to be involved in their daily activities, but unaware of the expectations of others. People are not as likely to even notice how busy they are, with the possibility of erupting spontaneously without an awareness of why. This will be a time when people are in their own little worlds, out of sight, out of mind. This may affect non-generators with this defined sacral center in feeling busy and having the endurance to work. Obviously, it's a conditioning aspect, so don't get used to it. They may even think that they know when enough is enough, which could lead to a mature or a premature or abrupt end to something that really needs more time. And this is also individual circuitry, so it brings a melancholy that, of course, is best used in some type of creative activity. And on the 2nd, the sun then moves up into the 6th line, the role model line of the 24th hexagram. The shift happening at 9:19 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 24/6 is the gift horse, the ability of being deaf when opportunity knocks. Exalted, the conscious participation in a process that prepares one for easy identification of opportunity, identification and focus with the rational thought process. Detrimented, innate suspicion that leads inevitably to lost opportunities. Often irrational suspicion that distorts the focus and can lead to missed opportunities. And 6 line days, again, we're on the roof of the hexagram. And so, again, lack of focus, looking at what's coming up next, maybe not what's happening right now, which can certainly have people unaware of what's going on right in their immediate environment. So no matter what energies are conditioning you during the week, just remember this is an experience about being a passenger that's riding in a vehicle that's being driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. And we're all here just giving the performance of the lifetime on this world stage. Just take some time out to observe your play, observe your movie, as well as act your part by remembering that you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on May 3rd of 2015, should be available on the 2nd, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky in the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, our blogger, or YouTube. There's New World Birth presences in all those places. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose. And I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or you wish to schedule a reading. And I am providing readings and wish to make this available to folks during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. And as I've said in the past, the best way to make a donation really would be to get a reading. That way you get something very valuable to yourself, and also support the work we're doing here at New World Birth. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for all these different ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. All my best to everybody, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Peace.